Welcome, Bureau Nation, to the Coach's Corner, presented by Caps Pizza and Pub. Here's your host, Paul Tipton.
Well, it is another week of high school football that we get to talk about. We're glad that you have joined us here. Gary Paris, Coach Jankowski, I'm Paul Tipton. Thanks for joining us in the Coach's Corner here at Caps Pizza as we get set for week 4 of high school football. But before we get to week 4, let's talk about week 3. For Vero Beach, it was Homestead at the Citrus Bowl. Ended up being a loss, 42-33. Coach, it seems like we've been talking about this for the last few weeks. We got to, I guess, more or less address the elephant in the room, so to speak. But, looking at some of the positives through this ball game, offensively speaking, 53 plays. You got almost 350 yards of offense. I mean, you have to be pleased with that side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really just – and it's difficult to talk in these terms because, obviously you set out to win. I think, who was it? Herm Edwards that said, you play to win the game or, whatever that simple phrase is. And so I don't think we've ever prepared for anything other than that. And there's really no moral victories in what we do or anything like that,
right.
So, but really and truly, I mean, there's not any bit of disappointment in my eyes. Obviously after a loss, there's some frustration and there's some what ifs in those kinds of things. But when I think about this game in particular, and really our first 3 games, I couldn't be more proud of our players and that if we just talk about this isolated game where you mentioned that what we did on offense and we scored 5 touchdowns against a team that I think in 3 games, including their kickoff classic, I think they had given up a total of 2 touchdowns, and so we were able to score 5 in 1 game and collectively in 3 games, they scored the 2 the 3, I think. And then what we were able to do and who we were able to do it with. I mean, we had 5 touchdowns, 2 by 2 different freshmen, and 3 by a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you guys have dealt with me long enough to know that it's not that we've lowered the bar or this guy's here, we've had this happen or that happen. We still have the same expectations, if not anything, probably wise to say that we raise the bar, each and every year. But I'm really, I don't think there's any reason for anybody to hit the panic button. I think where we're at is we've set, what we set out to do each and every week is to improve. And sorry about Coach Paris's phone.
Yeah. Bobby, he'll call you back, okay?
But we set out to improve each and every week. And I mean, you say things and you try to impress your players with things like trust in the process. And that doesn't mean just if you win.
Right.
I mean, there is a process, especially when you have situations and what we have and what we're working with this year. Not to mention, this team was no exception. They were extremely talented and had good players in all 3 phases. I thought they were well coached, and I knew that going into it that we would have our hands full. All that being said, we had opportunities. You look at it and you surely hope that and wish that the outcome was different. Mm-hmm. But I was proud of the way we played, and I think that we'll continue to see improvement and hopefully get this thing turned around pretty quick.
Well, in week 2 against Buchholz, your quarterback had accounted for 5 turnovers in that, 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Mm-hmm. What a bounce back game for him. No turnovers in that ball game by the quarterback in this ball game in week 3. He was 20-29, 209 yards, 1 touchdown. And how about the run, 51 yards? I got to be honest, Coach, I did not know he had that kind of speed.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew. And Champ's an exceptional athlete. And those 5 turnovers, I think I told you, those turnovers are on me as the coach and the play caller. Those we can't, say, oh, well, and I know in the statistics, unfortunately, they don't have a coach column for bozo moves, but
thank God, right?
Yeah. So, but the Champ has played well all season, and he continues to improve, and surely glad we have him. I mean, he makes it a lot of fun to to look at offense and to come up with scheme, and he's able to do a lot of different things. I think we started by calling him a freshman, which in fairness, that's what he is. But, now he's a few games into this, and I really, I've had an opportunity to coach a lot of really good players, and he's right up at the top of that list, regardless of his age, his grade, or any of that kind of stuff. He's an extreme talent, and we're able to do a lot of great things with him. So I think you'll continue to see steady improvement. I think he's improved each and every week in all phases of his game, the physical part, the mental part, the preparation, just the understanding. I think we're watching the game slow down in front of his eyes. He's, obviously the speed of the game, he's getting caught up to it. And so, I think good things to come for sure.
I really thought he had his best game of the season because I really, like you said, I felt like he was in control out there. He understood. He read the coverages. He was able to make the right moves, make the right throws. And I said, wow, we were on a break, and I went, man, this kid's phenomenal. I said, you just don't make those plays at 14 years old and do that. His football IQ was amazing, but he never quits. The first kid you probably on Saturday morning when you went back out there, you were, all night you're sitting there trying to think of all the things I could have done to make this game different. That's probably the kid that says, Coach, we'll get him. We'll get him again.
Right. You hit the nail on the head. He's very poised. He doesn't get rattled. He's a lot of fun to talk to during the game. He's a lot of fun to talk to prior to the game. I feel like we have great meetings, great talks, and he's the total package. He really is. He's a joy to be around, and he's turning into not just a leader of our offense, but a leader of our team. And I think our players have learned to really respect him, and I think that's a key at that position.
But here's the other thing. It was a key point you said. He had 3 touchdowns scored by a sophomore running back.
Right.
You had a freshman receiver score a touchdown, and your quarterback is a freshman. There's a lot of youth that's to me, I feel good inside about the future of Vero Beach High School. I'm not worried about 3 games. I'm looking at what the big picture is. I still see a big picture for this year with what the talent and the team you have.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, as we talk to the team, I mean, our goal is to be 1-0 after Thursday, and nothing of that what has happened prior to this would have mattered heading into Thursday. If we had came out on top in all those games or any of those games, this is our first district game. All the district games, as you know, weigh equally, and this one is most critical. And so I think all eyes have to be on the road here and stay focused. And I think if anything, that having the experiences that we have had up to this point will allow us to keep our eyes on the road, so to speak, and stay fully focused for this game on Thursday.
Well, as Gary said, I mean, Jannard Young stepped up because Lanceford unable to go in that ball game. He gets the starting nod from you, and he puts up, 59 yards off 12 carries and 3 touchdowns. But also, how about Stinson? Stinson is starting to step up to be one of your go-to guys at the receiver position. In that ball game, 9 catches for 114 yards.
Yeah, so it's really good to see. Again, we've got a fairly small sample size of this team so far, and it's been great to see different guys step up each and every week. You mentioned Jannard, and Jannard's a great kid, and a first-year varsity player, just a sophomore, has had a great off season. Has put in a ton of work, just really watching his growth, not just as a football player, but as a human being from last year to this year. I mean, those are the reasons. Those are some of the whys of why we do this, and it's been a joy to see and watch him. And you mentioned some of the other guys and Xavier Stinson being one, transferred here late in the summer. Is really coming into his own and becoming comfortable with the offense and what we're trying to do and how to utilize him and his skill set as well.
Don't want to not mention a couple of guys that had a really outstanding performances that maybe doesn't show up in the stat line, other than the fact I would call it like the Iron Man stat, and that is both E.J. White and Deuce Montgomery playing both ways. And we did see late in the ball game that EJ, was dealing with some cramp issues and whatnot. But how about their performances, man? To go both ways for pretty much the entire ball game like that says a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, starting with Deuce, Deuce has been, thrown into action on the O-line. And EJ is one of those guys that, has practiced on both sides of the ball, pretty much his whole career. I think we've talked about EJ in just individual segments where, and how his career has progressed in the different positions and all the different contributions he's made to this team and this program. But Deuce is a guy that's a senior and has really spent most of his time, at least late in his high school career, on the defensive line. But, he got started on the offensive line. Then he got a little taste of that defense that he didn't want to come back, But
thanks, Coach Bethel.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's really an outstanding offensive lineman, and just what he was able to do. I mean, he rarely came off the field the other night. Was dominant in both sides of the ball, on both sides of the ball, and really has solidified some things on that offensive line that we've been looking for.
Yeah, I saw some. I was watching some film today, and I saw some of those blocks. Right. I was like, oh my goodness, this guy's a monster on the offensive line. So,
but the thing about it, Coach, to play that many plays, he's like the Travis Hunter of the offensive line.
Right.
This guy didn't cramp, didn't complain. He wanted to be back on defense. He wanted to get back over on offense. I loved his attitude. Right. I called him the MVP of the game. I said, if you have an MVP for a game you lost, you got to go down to Deuce and say that's the man that you can depend on too.
Agreed.
All right. Well, we're talking about week 3 against Homestead at the Citrus Bowl. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the defense, and we got some other things coming your way. Stick around. More Coach's Corner right after this.
Comfort Zone AC and Heating of Vero Beach has been servicing Indian River County for over 40 years, using only certified technicians. As a Christian, family, and veteran-owned and operated business, they offer comprehensive air conditioning, heating, and indoor air quality solutions to their clients. Online at ComfortZoneACNow.com. Proud supporters of Fighting Indians.
Christian FM thanks SOS Pest Services, who know that Florida's warm climate means pests of all types, disrupting our comfort and lifestyle. When it's time to sound the alarm, SOS will send their technicians to promptly deal with the problem, so no more worries about unwanted guests. SOS Pest has a range of services tailored to meet individual needs, serving Orchid, Indian River Shores, North Hutchinson Island, and surrounding areas. Owned and managed by lifetime local pros. Online at sospestservices.com or 772-296-2966.
HBS Glass is a proud supporter of Fighting Indians Athletics and Christian FM. Since 1973, HBS Glass has served homeowners, architects, and contractors in the Vero Beach area. HBS Glass offers hurricane impact windows and doors. HBS Glass, 722 3rd Place or hbsglass.com. Thanks to HBS Glass.
The Coach's Corner, presented by Caps Pizza and Pub.
Well, hey, Vero Nation, thanks for joining us in Coach's Corner. And a special shout out to Kelly Bell. Thanks for your special contribution on the chat line here. We'll take your call a little bit later on after we get done with the program. Maybe our post game for Coach's Corner presented by Roy Bell Grading Services. Yeah. All right. Coach, I think most coaches would agree that if we said, okay, we'll spot you 33 points in the game, that you feel like you're going to get a win. And I think some of, looking at the numbers now, our defense, although they're playing strong, it seems like later in the game they're giving up they're not making the stops. And they're averaging now, they're giving up 36 points a game. I mean, what do you feel like is not working on the defense right now?
Well, I think it first of all, it's a complementary sport. And we've said that so many different ways, so many different times. And so in looking at this specific game, and coaches that are a lot smarter than I am have said this for a long time, that the most important, the two most important drives of the game are the last one before the first half and the first one of the second half. And so prior to that last one of the first half, we're winning the game 20-7.
Right.
And they get the ball. And on that particular drive, I think they drove, close to 80 yards. They converted 3 third downs and a fourth down. And so they were 3 for 3 on third down, and they were 1 for 1 on fourth down. So in those critical down and distances, they were 4 for 4, and we call those the money downs. And it wasn't like they were favorable to that, because sometimes if it's 3rd and 1, you say, okay, well, they did the work on 1st and 2nd down.
Mhm.
You know, 3rd and 1 was fairly easy, but we're talking 3rd and 4, 3rd and 8, and 3rd and 10, and then the 4th down that they converted.
Mhm.
And then they score with 15 seconds left in the half. So now we go into halftime 20-14. Well, they're getting the opening kickoff. They get on 1st down. We're close to making a sack. They get called for a holding call. They back it up 10 yards, so it's 1st and 20 from their own 25-yard line. We got the guy wrapped up in the backfield,
Yeah.
and he escapes, pulls like a Houdini impersonation, and escapes 3 or 4 guys on that side of the field,
Yep.
and then breaks to the other side of the field. And I was half serious, half joking. I don't know if joking's the right word, with our coaches, and said, I think all 11 guys missed him. But then when I watched it again, I think we have to count maybe more than 11, because I think guys missed him more than once. So, maybe there were
Right.
more than 11 missed tackles on that play. And he gained 68 yards, and then they score to make it 21-20
Right.
because of the missed extra point way back
Right.
back when, right?
Yeah.
So now you're playing catch up, and then you start matching scores,
Mhm.
and they've got momentum. Momentum is a big thing.
Sure.
So
it
I'm
is,
not, I don't think that this is not I thought that their quarterback played exceptional
Mhm.
in the first 3 games that we had him on film. He's a very high recruit, but he didn't show, that comfortability. I think he's a move-in guy from New Jersey, or somebody was telling me that, he came with a lot of hype, and he's probably coming into his own. Well, he had a little bit of a coming out party against us, on Friday night, which can happen. Hats off. They made some plays in some critical times. They made some plays with their legs. They were able to, late in the game, they were able to run the football again, and so we've got obviously some room to improve and some things to work on. But I think it really, more than anything, breaks down to those critical down and distances that we've got. We've got to get teams off the field, and surely know we're capable. If we're doing it on 1st and 2nd down, then we just need to finish it out. When it's most critical. So I think that you can look at a lot of different things. We got to do better in the field position game.
Right.
When you break down, if you really want to get frustrated sometime, you go and you do like a drive chart of a game, and you go, from offense to special teams to defense, and you just go through that. You'll allow yourself to get really frustrated, and unfortunately, I have a tendency to do that.
All right. Well, maybe we can put this game to bed now. We'll talk about the Week 4 game against Centennial in our next segment. But, Coach, I did want to throw something out to you. Obviously, this past weekend, the NFL got its season underway, and there's obviously a new setup, a new rule for kickoffs in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of curious your take on that, and would you like to see something like that adopted in the high school level?
Well, I think that with that kickoff and the new rules with kickoffs, that's obviously a safety concern, right? So, and things have a tendency to either work their way up, start in high school and work their way to college, then to the NFL, or work their way down in our sport. And so I think anything with safety is trending, right? So the rules for football are trending to make sure to err on the side of safety. If it is viewed as there are less injuries because of this, and I think the NFL will be the sample size. I didn't watch a bunch of NFL on Sunday, but I saw some clips, and every time I see it, I'm asking myself, what am I looking at?
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, I wonder what that's going to do to these, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, guys like Devin Hester and even Deion Sanders, who was a great returner, and those guys that we grew up watching. I wonder what it would do to their fame and their value and all that. But I think it was Gary's son Matt that was telling me that there were like 3 returns this Sunday.
Yeah.
So I would think that there'd be less returns, but he fact checked me and said no. There was
of course he did.
Yeah, there were a bunch of returns for touchdowns. So I mean, I'm just I like everybody else. I think I'm just kind of curious to see how it plays, and everybody's starting, and I don't even know all the rules. It looked like they couldn't take off until the ball got to them. And,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the kickers are still kicking it the same distance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think, like I said, I think if it's viewed to because you think about some of the rule changes even in high school, like the behind the play block,
Right.
or the blind side block that is called. I mean, obviously back several years ago, when if you played in a certain area of Florida, anywhere south of Indian River County, and you were on a kickoff team, you better have your head on a swivel,
No
because
kidding,
there
right?
are
Yeah.
guys looking to earhole you.
Yeah,
And,
some
and,
headhunters,
no
yeah.
doubt. But that's all illegal now for safety reasons.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't like it only because how many kids make it in the NFL to play special teams?
Good point.
You know what I mean? There are kids that are linebackers or that are wide receivers or extra running backs that
Tight
they're offered
ends.
to tight ends, their opportunity. Yeah. I made a living playing special teams. But you take away the kickoff return and the kickoff, a lot of these kids, these young people, and you're taking away a chance for them to show their real talent on special teams.
Especially early. That's a great point, because you automatically just think of the return guys.
Right.
But there are a lot of guys that on kick coverage and punt coverage, and those guys that are making teams because they're their value in those special teams coverage plays.
All right. Well, there you go. There's some thoughts about that new kickoff rule there in the NFL. And I am a little surprised, though, Coach, that maybe we haven't seen at the high school level where a touchback is maybe at the 25 or something like that. It's still at the 20. Are you surprised at that?
Well, we have so few touchbacks on our kick team. I forgot where they start. So,
good point. Good point. Hey, folks, want to remind you about something coming up on Friday, October 4th at the Citrus Bowl. It is going to be Pink Out Night, and that is to show our support against fight against breast cancer. Now, there's an opportunity, just like we have for Military Appreciation Night, there are shirts available for you to purchase to show your support for the team and also for your support against breast cancer. So best way to do that is get on Facebook, go to Fighting Indians football page. You will find a link where you can order your shirt. Let's show our support for not only the team, but also for our support against the fight against breast cancer, because we all, in some way, shape, or form, cancer has affected all of us in some way, shape, and form. So let's show our support for that. That's coming up Friday, October 4th is the game for Pink Out, but you can get your orders in now. Need to do that by September 22nd. So go ahead while you got a moment. Get online, get Facebook, go to Fighting Indians Football Facebook page. There you'll find a link to place your order. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to talk about Week 4, our first district matchup against Centennial. That's coming up next.
Hi, JW here from Barker Air Conditioning and Heating, serving the Indian River County area since 1959 and supporting Fighting Indian sports for decades. We're known for being HVAC specialists for installation and service. Local, licensed, and insured, Barker is a trained comfort specialist that services all makes and models. BarkerAC.com.
Thanks to Longevity Rehab Centers in Vero Beach and Sebastian, owned by locals whose mission is to help heal those who are hurting with a goal of getting them back to a productive life. Longevity Rehab has built a reputation of trust with their clients from the top down, offering both physical and massage therapy designed to restore, relieve, or maintain a healthy lifestyle. Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, Cigna, United Healthcare, Health First, Medicare, and most insurances are accepted.
Geno's Nutrition Shop
LongevityRehab.com.
carries a wide selection of safe supplements for athletes no matter their age, especially regular gym goers. I'm Gino, and we love supporting the Fighting Indians. Our supplements work for muscle recovery, hydration, focus, immunity health, along with grab-and-go meals. At Geno's Nutrition Shop in Miracle Mile, our customers are family.
The Coach's Corner, presented by Caps Pizza and Pub.
here at Coach's Corner, Caps Pizza, and every Tuesday night we're going to be here. If you want to join us, obviously you can come down here to Caps and join in with some great food, some fellowship, and listen to Coach's thoughts about the games that we're talking about, and just have a lot of fun here. It's every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. is when we get things kicked off here for Coach's Corner. All right, Coach, week 4, you got your first district matchup against Centennial. The Eagles are 1-2, got their first win on week 1 against Wellington. Beyond that, what do you know about the Eagles?
Well, I mean, they're one of those teams that when you look at them on film, their record could be very easily changed. They've struggled holding on to the football, and they've turned it over. I think the last 2 games, I think on the first play of the last 2 games, they've had turnovers and really have started, behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in those games, and then they get it rolling, and it's been tough for them to get caught up, especially in this last game, most recent game. So, but looking at them, they've got a talented D line. They've got a defensive end, I think, that's committed to University of South Florida, one of the bigger recruits in our area, and just a big, fast, high energy kind of player. Wears number 11. Not sure of his name, but wears number 11 on film, and they got a big nose man that gets after it. And they move those guys around a lot, probably to create just different mismatches and different looks that they do. And then they'll disguise some things on the defensive side, in coverage and all of that. Offensively, I think you'll see some of the same similar formations that you'll see in some of our base offense, where they'll do some of the same kind of stuff and try to throw it, try to run it, try to screen it, do all the things that good offenses try to do. But I think, all in all, it's so much more about us this week, and really any week, but especially this week, than it is our opponent. I think taking what we've learned from our team, because I think, as we've spoke, we're in the process of continuing to learn about our guys, about the best 11, the best, what gives us the best chance to stop a team. What's that magic mix? Putting those puzzle pieces together. What 11? What best 11 gives us the best chance to move the football? Yeah. And sometimes that changes against different defenses or different schemes. And so I think we're steady, making progress there. But I really do mean that it's so much more about us at this point, and understanding that look, as Gary said, we have a pretty good football team, and we need to get things in order and get this thing on a winning note.
Game's on Thursday night, so you're in a short week. How do you what changes in your schedule when you're down to one day?
Well, I think you talk about just great kids. So we have a Saturday morning practice at 8 a.m. and we've got full attendance. You know what I mean? So
that's great.
So we come off, our third very, very. I mean, we've been in 3 wars, and 3 in a row, and we come off our third disappointing loss. We have a Saturday on a Friday night. We have a Saturday morning 8 a.m. practice, and we've got great attendance. We've got great work. We get them in and out within an hour, but just you know that those kids care, and there's always going to be critics, and like I tell everybody, I got two critics to worry about. Gary's one of them. If I get over that hump, and then if I can survive my son, who's like, I think they call it spam texting during the game, like as if I'm carrying my phone with me. He's just killing me. I think, what is that word when your son wants to disown you? So I gotta survive those two, and then but like, in all seriousness, our kids, they show up on Saturday. You can tell they care. You can tell they want to improve, continue to improve, because they have improved, and they want to get this thing rolling. And so we started there, and then Monday is kind of a combination. How we view it is we kind of combined, Monday and Tuesday on Monday, and then we combined Tuesday and Wednesday on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, so you have a combination really of each and every day. I don't, I'm not one of these guys that think you've got to practice, an extra hour each day to make up for the lost day.
Mhm.
But I do think you need to get into the necessary stuff that you need to for preparation.
The one thing too that people don't realize that in a season like this, weather has a factor into everything. And I know one practice you guys had to wait. You had a weather delay and you had to wait till an hour and a half. Normally, then you got a chance to get back out there to go and to make something happen. The weather straightened up, but the weather factors in a lot of this during this time of the year.
It does. And you get in these weather patterns that we're in now, and it's like, okay, the one thing that you can be sure of is that you're probably going to have some kind of delay
Right.
or something go on. And again, there's value to that. What we try to impress our players with is that you guys have been part of games where, and once you get to all clear, it's not like you have a whole lot of time to get back right. So
Right.
you've got to be able to, handle a little adversity, handle some change, be able to act on some things that sometimes are out of our control and be ready to go. One thing that we know for sure being a district game is that, if it's capable of being played on Thursday, we're going to play it at some point in some time, and so we'll try to have our best foot forward.
Coach, when you have a short week like this, and everybody has to do this because obviously with the shortage of officials, you've been asked to schedule one game in the season on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to see like a situation where there's a provision by the state made to where like maybe you could have a team meeting or something like that on a Sunday to try to help offset some of that a little bit?
That's a good point. The state has allowed for some of that during playoff weeks, or during situations where there's been hurricanes.
Right, yeah.
And we've had to double up with 2 games in a week. So the state has allowed for that. But, I don't know. I think that at this point in the season, you're going into week 4. We meet as a staff on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something that we regularly do. And we're able for the most part to stick, to stay on schedule. Weather, as Gary says, has a huge factor
Sure.
in it. And at a school like ours where, we've got our gyms being used by everybody and anybody. And, there's not a piece of cover that's not being used when you're under some kind of lightning delay
Yeah.
or rain delay. But we get it figured out. And like I said, we'll feel like we'll be all right on Thursday night.
All right. It is Thursday night. Ball game down in Port St. Lucie at South County Stadium. It's right next to the Met Stadium down there on Peacock Drive there. So if you will please come on down, let's support the team. Kickoff's at 7 o'clock. Our coverage will begin at 6 p.m. with Countdown to Kickoff presented by Cap's Pizza. For Gary, Coach Jay, I'm Paul. Hey, we want to see you on on Thursday night. If not, catch us on YouTube. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for watching the Coach's Corner, presented by Caps Pizza and Pub.